Hi, everyone. I'm Yonit Levy in Tel Aviv. Israel's war with Iran, day 5. It's now Tuesday, 4:30 p.m. Israel, 5 p.m. Tehran, 10 a.m. Washington, D.C. We still don't know where this is heading, towards a U.S. more active involvement or towards a ceasefire. President Trump leaving the G7 summit early, telling the people of Tehran to evacuate immediately. We wanted to take a step back from the headlines and try and drill deeper into the life of Iranians today under war, but also living under a theocracy for 46 years. What does that feel like? Beni Sabti is an Iran expert at the INSS. It's the Israeli Institute for National Security Studies. He was born in Iran and raised there primarily under the Islamic Revolution regime, left when he was 15. He led the establishment of the IDF spokesperson's unit platform in Farsi. He's one of the advisors of Apple TV's series Tehran. He's a frequent analyst in our studios in Israel on Channel 12. Beni, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Hi, thank you for your invitation. Thank you.
Before we go into sort of this deep dive into Iran and what Iranians are feeling today and before the war, just on a personal level, to be the analyst covering this war between the country you were born and raised in, Iran, and the country you live in, Israel. Can you talk a little bit about how that feels?
Of course, I have still personal feelings, even after working about Iranian issues here in Israel, in research centers and other places. You have still feelings for your homeland. And of course, from one side, I'm sad that this regime brought Iran and Tehran, my city, to this place of being bombed by Israel. And it's also another conflict. Maybe if it was another kind of enemy of Iran, so it was less hard. But I'm Iranian and I'm Jewish, so this is the hard place to be. And I want the best for both of the countries and both of the nations. So if I see, for example, the area of the Iranian regime broadcast center that was bombed, it was about 500, 600 meters from my house in 79, 80. There is a very big and beautiful park there also when we played there when I was 8, 9 years old. So I have these memories of a beautiful place and nice people, but or other places in other areas in Tehran. But when you go to the past and you remember how bad and evil this regime became, especially the actions of IRGC that depresses the people, the women, everyone, the homosexuals, minorities, Jews, everyone inside Iran and outside Iran, they make terror. They have this nuclear program. They have this propaganda against all kind of others, like inside Iran, minorities, women, Jews, or Christians, of course. So when I have also this place in my mind, I understand that Iran needs a surgery to make Iran better. It's like a sick man who needs this surgery. So maybe it's even better that Israel does it and not other cold enemy with no emotions. I'm very proud of these actions of Israel because we don't bomb any regular people, any civilians, and we know our enemy so much that we only focus on the evil. And it's a good thing also for us and also for Iranian people.
When you talk about that surgery, obviously you mean sort of the removal of the Ayatollahs and this regime. Do you have any indications from your conversations that the regime is in real danger? I mean, it's not only the destabilizing the regime, which obviously Israel is doing, but you also need a leader of an opposition. You need the equivalent of the Syrian al-Jalani. Do you have that in Iran? Is that even a possibility for a regime change, or it's just, a fantasy?
First of all, the actions of Israel against IRGC generals, as I said, those who depress Iranian civilians and go after them and against the women and everything we know, it definitely destabilize Iran regime. Definitely, if even Israel doesn't mean it. Because they are in control in everything, intelligence, chasing people, economy, corruption, and every other thing that we can think about. So the real question is what you said. If Iranian people can bring now from themselves a new leader, maybe even cooperating with minorities or the exiled, some leaders outside of Iran. They have to be more mature and put the differences behind and become organized and make a new and better day for Iran, because it's not just a slogan. Israel opened the door for them. We cannot change the regime totally, as you said, but the Iranian people can take it from here and make it better. I'm sure that there are some leaders inside Iranian people that they just don't dare to come out. But maybe we can give them this courage to come out. Some of them are in prison. Maybe even Israel, if with a, I don't know, very wise and technological operation, we can free some prisoners, political prisoners, and they can become the new leaders. Who knows? So we can help, but they have to do the job.
We should talk about you becoming something of a target,
Yes,
particularly after talking in Farsi from our studios to the
yes,
people of Iran.
yes.
So they targeted you. Did they target you before that?
It was from time to time, not this frequently, but now it's very frequent. Maybe I have some this Shahid culture inside myself. I put myself like a target. I'm very sorry, but I do a risky thing for myself, but I don't care really. It's also because for Iran and for Israel, I don't care. And it's serving the two people, both people. But you know something, when you read all their comments, all their writing in the social media, all their clips in Instagram, you can know very good how the average Iranian feels, what difficulties he has. It's not only economy, it's not only the prices. He is suffering from the depression and something that is called zulm in Persian or in Arabic. It's when you are crushed, but you didn't do anything, but the regime just crush you. They don't recognize your being, your human being. So they ask themselves why we did the revolution if this is the result. So when you read their comments and how bad things are and how they want to change their day, so we can know a lot about them.
You're saying you read their comments on social media. How open is social media, just in the way that it's probably heavily monitored, or how do you feel that is just on a technical level?
Yes, they are monitored. So the Iranian people try not to pass this limit and make it worse for themselves. And another thing is that many Iranians earn their money and the job is inside in Instagram or making advertisements for something they produce in home. So they work with the social media. If the regime closes the internet like they did 7, 8 years ago, it's not like today. In that days, people didn't work so much with the internet. Today, it's so online, and if they close it too, it can be a disaster. It's like making a strike from inside. So they don't want to bring more trouble than they have.
They can't close it down completely because then they really have a revolt, but they do monitor it closely. That's
Yes,
essentially what you're
yes.
saying. I wonder about this because when you talked in Farsi on Israeli television to the Iranian people, you said we are brother nations, and I wonder about this because on paper, Iran is more than 70 times the size of Israel. Tehran is the population of all of Israel, right? It's 10 million. The GDP per capita in Iran is $4,400. In Israel, it's $52,000. There's so many differences. Obviously, Iran is an Islamic theocracy. We're a Jewish state. What do you see on the level of the people that says to you there are similarities between us?
The people mind and opinions about Israel began to change because of the internet and social media and YouTube and all these things in these last 20 years. And I'm very sorry to say, but Iranian people in the 60s and 70s and 80s, they were very anti-Semitic because of that propaganda of the clerics and also the extreme left who was brought by Soviet Union to Iran, and they saw Jews and Israel as their enemy. So it was actually one of the reasons of the revolution. Without hatred to Israel and to Jews, and I have to say to Jews, there was no revolution, there was no excuse. But in these last 20 years, they see us through the social media. Some exiled Iranians came to Israel, made some documentaries, and it was like a fire. It was so spread, and all the Iranians know now how happy Israel is, how calm Israel is when there is no war, of course, and people go to beach and have coffee, and you can say what you want, and freedom of speech and freedom of being what you want. They say they see Rothschild Boulevard, for example, and they see that the young ones, they go and come and they work in the middle of the boulevard, and really it's a very famous street in Iran. Many of them, they say that they want to visit Israel, and they cherish us. They see the science and high tech. So it's not what it was. We have a very great potential of friendship. I know what I grew up with. I saw the anti-Semitism in the 70s and the 80s. This was the reason that we fled Iran. But today they love us. So we have to use this potential.
Well, I don't know if they love us right now, but I assume that there is a potential between the two nations, as you say. But I'm really interested in the issue of the Jewish community in Iran. How many Jews are they? What do they do there? How do they live? Why haven't they escaped?
Yes, so of course, Jews live in Iran since really 2,500 years ago, since the days of Esther and Mordechai. Even in that book, you can see that some of that kingdom also were anti-Semitic. Haman was anti-Semitic. So, but if we come forward to these days, just before the revolution, there were 120,000 Jews in Iran. It was one of the largest communities of Jewish people everywhere, actually, even comparing to Europe. But in the first year of the revolution, 80,000 of them got out of Iran with any plane to anywhere, and after that maybe to US or to Israel. This was the majority. 30,000 more fled like me in the 80s because of the depression and Iran-Iraq war. I had my first missiles also actually in Iran. This is maybe the reason that my daughters, they shout at me, come in the shelter, and I say, but I saw all my missiles, and it's okay, don't worry. Yeah, it's, and I don't know anything about being safety, so they teach me again. So there are about 10,000 Jews left in Iran. Most of them have free jobs like shops and some few doctors or engineers. But in my days, many Jews were also involved in the Iranian life. My parents were clerks. They worked for the government. My mother was a nurse. My father was an accountant for some office, official office. But today you cannot see any Jew. This is also anti-Semitic. They kick them out. They don't get anyone new from the Jewish community or even other minorities. So they live there by a very great fear. Every time that there is a clash between Israel and Iran or Hamas or anything, they have to come out and demonstrate against Israel and clap their hands for Iran regime or Hamas or Hezbollah.
I wonder, do you miss Iran? Would you actually want to see it again? And can you share with us a little bit of what you felt when the Islamic Revolution started? I mean, you were what, 7, 8?
I was 7, but it was a traumatic event. So you remember these kind of things. We saw the 100,000s who participated the demonstrations against the Shah, against the king, and brought down that regime. And even, I'm very sorry to say, many scenes that we saw in October 7, I already saw them in the revolution. For example, the soldiers of Shah, of the king, they, from time to time, they brought tanks to the streets to fight the protesters, and they shoot them a little bit, but many thousands, they ran to the tank and they took over it, and you know the rest of the story. They took out the driver and all of the soldiers, and they beat them to death. And we saw, unfortunately, I'm very sorry to say this example, but this is fanatism. This is what extremism can do to you. It makes you blind. And this is the problem with this revolution. And they export it to everywhere in Middle East. This extremism, Hamas was not existing before Iranian Revolution. Iran regime and Iran Revolution has They have a lot of responsibility about what happened here in this region. About missing Iran, of course, I miss Iran. The smells, the food, the neighborhood, playing football with other friends, Muslim friends, Jews also, because we were in a mixed neighborhood in the middle of Tehran. But not more than that, because in my mind I know that it's controlled by the evil regime. Maybe if things get better and in a few years we have a normal and free government there, maybe we both go and visit there, and I can take you to some ice cream, very good ice cream next to bazaar. Really, I mean that. Everyone in Tehran used to drive there, and even it was crowded, that was so delicious. So you have to come with me.
It's a date. We'll go visit the, what is the name of the ice cream parlor?
Golo Bolbol.
Okay, good name.
The
That
flower
is
and
something to aspire to look
yeah.
forward to one day eating ice cream in Tehran together. Beni Sabti, thank you so much for enlightening us, and we learned a lot from this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That was our conversation with Beni Sabti. Big thank you to Michal Porat. Check out our Instagram page at Unholy Podcast for more updates, and look out for a special Unholy interview coming this Friday. See you soon.